Are you between the age of 25 and 32 and just bought a brand new car because you're an adult now and had to make a structured financial decision and couldn't go with something like a 370Z because 370s only have like 2 doors and a hatchback, if you want to count that as like a 3rd door, because some cars count them as like 3-door hatchbacks or something. Well, welcome to today's video because you wound up in none other than an Infiniti Q50 and want to make yourself feel a little bit better by throwing some aftermarket wheels on it. I'm really sorry, all right? Q50s are great cars, and I love them. I just needed a way to open the video, and that's all that could come to mind when I was talking. Either way, I'm Jealous from Fitment Industries, and we are here on Fitment Industries Garage with another episode of What Wheels Fit, where we're going to be going over some of the most popular wheel and tire setups that we see people running on the Infiniti Q50. Before we go ahead and get right into it, don't forget to subscribe, and afterwards, once you know exactly what is going to fit your car, don't forget to check out fitmentindustries.com, where we have a bunch of different wheel, tire, and even suspension options for your Q50. Anyway, that's a good one. The Q50 was and is the replacement for the Infiniti G sedan, such as the G35 and the G37, and entered the scene late in 2013. And they share a lot of similarities with their predecessor, so it's easy to see why they've become such a popular platform for car enthusiasts as of late. That being said, with the Q50, we have a recommended fitment range for the wheels of 17 to 20 inches for the diameter, 7.5 to 11 inches in width, and offsets landing between +10 and +45. Similar to the other Nissan and Infiniti models that we have covered in the past, these cars typically are going to be running some bigger wheels. So let's go ahead and get into our first set of cars that we're going to be going over today, which these cars are going to be for those looking for some aftermarket setup but don't want anything too crazy that's going to cause any rubbing issues or causing them to have to roll their fenders or anything like that. First up, we have a 2014 with some niche M158s with a size of 19 by 8.5 plus 38 with a 245/40. Now, this car is on stock suspension, but even with just the new wheels, it adds a whole different look to the car. Next up, we have this white 2016 with some ESR RF2s, 19 by 9.5 plus 22 with some Michelin Pilot Super Sports 245/40 sitting on some BC Racing coilovers. So going up in width and getting a little more aggressive with the offset, giving us a pretty decent flush fitment without having to roll fenders. And then getting into our first staggered setup of the list here, we have this 2019 with some Rohana RFX 13s, which are a great choice for this car, in my opinion. 20 by 9 plus 35 up front with a 20 by 10 plus 38 in the rear with a 225/35 and a 245/35 tire sitting on some Eibach lowering springs. So no coilovers, just lowering springs on this one. And this car is a perfect transition in the next set of cars we're going to go over, which is going to be, for the most part, running a staggered setup with at least a 19 or 20 inch diameter wheel with some wider widths being thrown in the mix. These are going to be a little more aggressive, and some will require fender rolling to get them to fit without any clearance issues. To start off this list, we have a 2018 with some Velgen VMB9s with a size of 20 by 9.5 plus 35 in the front, 20 by 10.5 plus 45 in the rear with a 245/35 and a 285/30 tire sitting on some BC Racing coilovers. We get that look that we have here with this car with that setup that looks absolutely killer. Next up, we have a 2014 showing that you can still rock a square setup if you really want to with this variant Xenon wheel setup, 19 by 10 plus 25 all around with a 255/35, sitting on some Airlift Performance air suspension. Followed by this 2015 with some Rohana RF2s again, 20 by 9 plus 35 in the front, 20 by 10 plus 45 in the rear, with some Nexen tires, 245/30 and a 275/30, all again sitting on some Airlift Performance air suspension. And then to close out this list before we get into our final category of the day, we have this lovely 2017 rocking some Velgen VMB9s. 20 by 9 plus 32 in the front, 20 by 10.5 plus 45 in the rear. Some Nitto NT555 G2s for the tire, 245/35 and a 285/30, sitting on some RSR lowering springs. So again, no coilovers, just lowering springs to get that low. And then our final category that we're going to be going over today really just opens it up to some of the widest and lowest setups that we see in the gallery right now. Now, to get something like this usually requires some extensive modifications, whether it be to the fenders or other suspension components, but it can be done. So here we go with this 2015 with some Adhan DSO2s, 19 by 11 plus 15, all around square setup with a 235/35 tire. Now that's quite the stretch on an 11 wide wheel. And this is, of course, is sitting on some Airlift Performance air suspension. Next up, we have another 2015, this time on some Wed's Crons wheels, 19 by 9.5 plus 17 in the front, 19 by 10.5 plus 29 in the rear. So a very specific sizing and offset for these. 215/35 and 235/35 for the tire. And then to close out the day, we have this 2014 sitting on some absolutely gorgeous BC Forge SC02s, 20 by 9.5 plus 10 in the front and a 20 by 10.5 plus 35 in the rear. Now this has a 235/30 and a 255/35 for the tire size, and once again, of course, sitting on some Airlift Air Performance air suspension. So there you have it. All of these cars can actually be found in the Fitment gallery over at fitmentindustries.com, and you can go check them out for yourself if you want to see more pictures or just refresh your memory with all the numbers and sizes that we just went over. And if you didn't see any setups here that you really liked or want to just find something a little bit different, you can also head over there yourself, check out all the other Q50s that are loaded in there. But that is going to wrap it up for today. Hopefully this helped you guys out in your journey to find a new set of wheels for your car. Don't forget to check out fitmentindustries.com, where we have all sorts of wheels, tires, and suspension, all that sort of good stuff. We got some apparel. We always got giveaways going on. Don't forget to subscribe, of course. I'm Gels. We'll see you later. Peace.